The story begins in a classroom, where students are engaged in everything except studying. Suddenly, the teacher walks in, scolding them for smoking and sternly saying, "Your class is the worst in this entire school." After rebuking the students, the teacher introduces a new student who has just transferred to the school. The new student introduces himself confidently. "My name is Jeon, and you all are about to become my lackey." 2 months later. Time flies, and Jeon has already been at the school for 2 months. He's established his own gang, with his right-hand man, Kim. One day, Kim informs him, "Students from another school attacked our members again." Hearing this, Jeon, filled with rage, gathers his gang and heads to the rival school. As soon as they arrive, an intense fight breaks out between Jeon's team and the rival school's gang. The rival school's boss observes Jeon and thinks, "Who is this guy? I've only heard rumors about him, but he's on a whole different level. We're nothing compared to him." After defeating everyone, Jeon furiously declares, "What did you think? You could touch my people, and I'd let you off that easy?" Trembling, the rival boss begs for forgiveness, but Jeon responds by delivering a flurry of punches to his face. Witnessing this, Kim comments, "Again, blood everywhere. Every time someone messes with our gang, Jeon completely loses control." Jeon grabs the rival boss by the collar, his voice low but chilling. "Listen carefully. From today onwards, whenever you see anyone wearing our school uniform, you will bow your head. Now drop your eyes." When the boss refuses, Jeon delivers one final punch and leaves him lying unconscious on the ground. With this, Jeon's gang emerges victorious and celebrates their win. His comrades praise him, lighting a cigarette for him as they cheer. Jeon's past. Later, Jeon reflects on his past. "I wasn't always like this. Back in middle school, I was a quiet, peaceful student. I had a few normal friends, and my life was simple and happy. But one incident changed everything. There was a bully in my school, a predator in the jungle that is school life. If you're weak, you'll be devoured alive. One day, he went too far. That bully and his gang beat my friend so badly that foam started coming out of his mouth. I begged them to stop and take him to the hospital, but instead, the bully kicked my friend in the stomach. I stood there, shocked. Until that day, I thought enduring pain would make things better. I even sought help from teachers, but they turned a blind eye, refusing to get involved. With no other option left, I fought back for the first time in my life. I rushed my friend to the hospital, where the doctor told me, 'If you had been even a little late, your friend could have died.' That was the turning point for me. I vowed to never let anyone suffer like that again. I beat those bullies so badly that they were forced to kneel before me. I warned them, 'Whenever you see me, keep your heads down.' From that day on, my position in school changed. I climbed to the top without even realizing it. The more my status grew, the more my environment changed. By the time I was in my 3rd year, even college students feared me, and no one could stop me anymore. I had become a brand, not just in my school but in the entire area. I had the power to get anything done by anyone. And let's be honest, in student life, the most useful thing you can have is power. Now, let's shift to the present scene. Jeon was out partying with some friends when he received a call from a detective. Jeon answered the call in a completely casual tone, which made the detective furious. The detective angrily asked, "Is this how you talk to your senior?" Hearing this, Jeon calmly asked, "How did you even get my number?" The detective retorted, "With all the stunts you've pulled so far, did you really think I wouldn't find it? Get to the police station immediately." Jeon sighed and decided to leave. As he was about to go, Kim said, "We'll meet at the karaoke later, so make sure to come." The scene shifts to Kim and his group heading towards the karaoke. They were chatting among themselves, and one of them remarked, "This guy is on a whole different level. In just a few months, he's made such a big name for himself in this school." Another one added, "Yeah, but he tries to act like he's above everyone else when, in reality, we're all just thugs." Someone else spoke up, "True, but let's not forget, he's the one who picked us up from the streets and turned us into stars. Without him, we wouldn't even be able to walk these roads with respect." While walking, Kim accidentally bumped into someone. Annoyed, he grabbed the guy's hoodie and barked, "Do you even know who I am?" The man didn't flinch. There wasn't a trace of fear in his eyes. Kim, shocked by the lack of reaction, turned to his friends and shouted, "Look at him, he's staring at me like he doesn't even know who I am." The man in the red hoodie coolly asked, "Do you want to fight?" Enraged, Kim threw a punch, yelling, "Can't you tell by now?" But the man effortlessly dodged the attack and, with a single blow, sent Kim crashing to the ground. Seeing this, Kim's crew attacked the man together, but he handled them just as easily. The scene shifts again, this time to Jeon at the police station. The detective asked, "Do you enjoy living this kind of life? Do you really think you can do whatever you want in this world? Let me tell you something, the world is a dangerous place. One day, you'll face someone stronger than you, and that's when you'll realize how cruel this world can be. Don't live a life that you'll regret later." Jeon ignored the detective's words and walked out. Outside, he began cursing the detective. Frustrated, just then, he received a call from one of his comrades. The voice on the other end was panicked. Someone attacked all our guys." Jeon, alarmed, asked, "Who were they?" His comrade replied, "It wasn't they, it was just one guy." Jeon was stunned. "What? I've never heard of someone like that. What does he look like?" His comrade described, "He's wearing a red hoodie and black gym clothes." At that moment, Jeon spotted someone matching the description walking ahead of him. "I think I've found him," Jeon said coldly. His comrade urgently warned, "That man is extremely dangerous. Don't." But Jeon hung up the call and charged toward the red-hooded man without a second thought. He threw a punch, but the man dodged effortlessly. Calmly, the stranger asked, "What are you trying to do?" Before Jeon could respond, the man struck his legs, causing Jeon to lose his balance. Then, with a single powerful punch, he sent Jeon flying. As Jeon lay on the ground, flashes of his past played before his eyes. His mind screamed, "What kind of punch was that? Who is this guy?" The camera zooms in on the man's jacket, which has Hanlim Gym written on it. Jeon, still conscious, screamed, "No, I can't lose." But the man in the red hoodie delivered a kick, sending Jeon flying once more. Jeon crashed into the wall with a loud thud and collapsed to the ground, his body limp and eyes barely open. The atmosphere was heavy with tension when suddenly, a man with striking white hair stepped into the scene. His voice was calm yet carried an edge of urgency as he looked at the red-hooded man and asked, "What are you doing here? We're running out of time. We can't afford to be late." The man in the red hoodie turned slightly, his expression indifferent as he replied nonchalantly, "Nothing, just a pest that decided to crawl into my path." The white-haired man's gaze shifted to Jeon, his eyes narrowing in recognition. With a slight smirk, he muttered, "Wait a second. Is this Jeon? The Jeon who's known as Supernova around here? Well, this is interesting. Never thought I'd get the chance to meet him in person." He crouched down beside Jeon, studying him carefully. "Still alive, huh?" he asked almost mockingly. "If you are, contact me using this." He placed a card gently on Jeon's head and straightened up, his tone suddenly businesslike. "I have a feeling this will spark your interest." Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked away, his presence commanding every second. Moments later, Kim and the rest of Jeon's crew arrived, their faces painted with disbelief. They couldn't fathom what they were seeing. "This can't be real," Kim murmured, his voice trembling. "There's no way Jeon could lose. Not to anyone." One of the crew members noticed the card lying on Jeon's head. Picking it up, he frowned. "What the hell is this? PvP?" His frustration boiled over as he flung the card far away. Jeon stirred and slowly regained consciousness, his mind foggy yet filled with fragments of what had just happened. His heart sank as the memories hit him like a wave. Did I actually lose? The thought was unbearable. Clenching his fists tightly, he punched the wall with all his might, a roar escaping his lips. "No, this can't be true." His frustration surged, his voice breaking with fury. "There's no way I could lose to someone." He turned to his crew, his tone sharp and commanding. "I want that man found. Find him and bring him to me, now." His words sent shivers down their spines. The intensity in his voice was enough to scatter them in fear. 2 days passed. Jeon, unable to mask his impatience, approached Kim. His voice was low but dangerous. "Do you have any updates? Did you find him?" Kim shook his head, nervous. "No, Jeon, we've searched everywhere, every street, every school, but he's nowhere to be found. It's like, he doesn't even live around here." Jeon's jaw tightened, his eyes blazing with anger. "I don't care about your excuses. Keep looking. If you don't find him today, you'll all pay the price." Kim tried to lighten the mood, laughing awkwardly. "Relax, Jeon, we're on it. I promise we'll find him soon." Just then, a group of students from another school passed by, their mocking laughter piercing the air. "Hey, isn't that the guy who got beaten by one man? Ha! Not just him, his whole team lost. He was a loser back in middle school. And guess what? He still is. Jeon's face darkened, his eyes filled with a deadly intensity. He stepped forward silently, and in an instant, the laughter turned to screams. Jeon lashed out with uncontrolled rage, his fists landing with brutal force. Each punch carried the weight of his humiliation, and it seemed like he wouldn't stop until they were utterly destroyed. Kim rushed forward, trying to pull Jeon back. "Jeon, stop, you'll kill them." But Jeon spun around and shoved Kim back with a sneer. "Do you think I'm wrong for doing this?" His voice was ice cold, his fury unwavering. Kim stammered, "And no, that's not what I meant." Before Kim could finish, Jeon's fist flew toward him, but suddenly, someone caught his punch midair. One of their team members stood firm, gripping Jeon's hand tightly. "That's enough," he said firmly. "I know you're angry, Jeon, but taking it out on us won't solve anything. If you let the words of losers get to you, you'll become one of them." Jeon froze, his breathing heavy and his mind clouded with emotion. He wrenched his hand free and growled, "Get lost." Without another glance, he stormed off. As he walked away, his thoughts swirled in chaos. Today was a disaster. I couldn't even control myself. But the worst part, I can't forget the way he looked at me, like I was nothing. His eyes. I can't get them out of my head. Suddenly, Jeon spotted the red-hooded man in the distance. His heart raced as he started chasing him. "Stop!" Jeon yelled, his voice echoing down the street. The red-hooded man turned a corner, and as Jeon followed, he nearly collided with a speeding car, barely escaping an accident. Jeon's eyes darted around frantically, but the man was gone. Determined not to lose him, Jeon ran faster. He finally saw the man entering a building. Jeon sprinted to the door, but by the time he reached it, it was locked. He pounded on the door, trying to force it open. "Come out," he shouted angrily. Just then, the white-haired man appeared again, leaning casually against the wall. "This door is locked, Jeon," he said calmly. "No amount of brute strength will open it." Jeon turned, startled, his eyes narrowed. "How do you know my name?" As Jeon entered, he wondered, "Have I seen him somewhere before?" The man opened the door with his fingerprint and said, "This world is getting smarter. So, we also need to become smart with time. Come inside now." When Jeon walked in, a bright light hit his eyes. It was the light from a bulb. Inside, there was an arena where a fight was taking place. Two fighters were going head-to-head, matching each other's strength blow for blow. Jeon couldn't understand what was happening there. Suddenly, one fighter defeated the other and was declared the winner. The winner's fighting name was Cool Head. Then an announcement echoed, "The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. Today, the big fight everyone's been anticipating will take place. Cool Head will face Red Brick." Cool Head smiled excitedly and said, "Finally, the day has come. Today, I'll fight Red Brick." Red Brick was the fighting name of the man in the red hoodie, also known as Suho. He had been the undefeated champion of the arena for years. As soon as Jeon saw Suho, his blood boiled. He instantly recognized him as the man he wanted revenge on. Jeon ran towards Suho, ready to punch him. The scene shifts to a flashback where the white-haired man says, "This place is called PvP. It's where students come to fight hand-to-hand. Initially, thugs came here to fight and decide their ranks. But among them, there was one man with a different mindset. He decided to use this place to make money. That's how PvP was born." The man continued. "He turned his past dream into reality and opened this place for students. He allowed only students to participate and protected us from government interference. This is a place where students can fulfill their dreams. That's why the strongest students started gathering here. If you prove yourself strong here, you'll get money, power, fame, everything. That's what PvP is. A place where you can get it all if you're strong." Jeon, angry, replied, "I don't care about any of that. I'm waiting for the man in gym clothes." Meanwhile, Suho and Cool Head were about to start their fight. The white-haired man asked, "Are you looking for the guy in gym clothes? Does that mean you're looking for Suho?" Then, realizing Jeon wasn't there anymore, he thought, "Where did he go?" At the same time, Jeon rushed towards Suho to punch him, but Suho dodged the attack. This made Jeon even angrier. The audience started whispering, confused about what was happening. "Who's this guy in the blue tracksuit?" Cool Head asked Jeon. "Hey kid, do you think you're the only one who wants to fight Suho?" Jeon punched him in the face and said, "I don't want to fight with an extra like you." Cool Head blocked Jeon's punch and said, "We just met, and you're already attacking me? Do you have a death wish? Don't you realize that if there's any extra here, It's you? Then, Coolhead began punching Jeon repeatedly. Meanwhile, the security guard asked the white-haired man, "Why aren't you stopping Coolhead? He's going to kill him." The white-haired man laughed and replied, "Let it be. This fight is getting interesting." Coolhead, while fighting Jeon, thought to himself, "Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Can I even defeat him? He seems really strong. I couldn't even get a chance to fight the one I wanted to." Finally, Coolhead landed a punch on Jeon's face, knocking him to the ground. The audience cheered for Coolhead. The white-haired man remarked, "The fight didn't last long, but it was interesting. This rookie just fought our runner-up." Meanwhile, Coolhead noticed blood dripping from his ears. Confused, he thought, "When did I get injured here?" Suho was silently observing Jeon lying on the ground, watching closely. Suho's match gets delayed, and it is announced that the stage will be cleaned before the match resumes. Meanwhile, we see Jeon sitting in heavy rain, surrounded by a wild jungle. He is lost in thought. "I want to become the strongest, but where I just came from, everyone was incredibly powerful. Then what am I? It feels like I am nothing compared to them." Suddenly, a girl appears and places an umbrella over his head, saying, "Why are you sitting here like this?" Jeon looks at her and responds coldly, "Who are you? Just go away." The girl, insulted, retorts angrily, "I was just trying to help you," and starts walking away. Jeon notices that the jacket she's wearing has Hanlim Gym written on it, just like the one Suho was wearing. Realizing this, he calls out, "Hanlim Gym? That guy also comes from there." Before he can finish, he collapses unconscious on the spot. When Jeon opens his eyes, he finds himself lying on a sofa, hearing some sounds. He looks over to see the same girl practicing kicks on a punching bag. Noticing that Jeon is awake, she asks, "You're awake? How are you feeling?" Confused, Jeon asks, "Where am I?" The girl replies, "What do you mean? You're in Hanlim Gym right now." On the other side, we see Suho's fight. Suho defeats his opponent in mere seconds, emerging as the champion of the tournament. After the fight, Suho is seen talking to Charles, the man with white hair. Charles says, "You fought really well today. What do you think about that kid?" Suho asks, "Are you talking about Coolhead?" Charles shakes his head. "No, I'm talking about Jeon, the kid who jumped into your match." Suho replies bluntly, "He's just a kid who relies on his punches. It doesn't seem like he's had any proper training." Charles smirks, "Interesting. I'm thinking about grooming him into a proper player." "Go and rest for now." Suho nods. "The kid has potential. With training, he could improve." Charles laughs. "Suho, this is the first time I've heard you praise someone. You must really see something in him." Back at the Hanlim Gym, the girl tells Jeon, "You're at Hanlim Gym now. Honestly, I thought you'd freeze to death out there in the rain, so I brought you here." Hearing this, Jeon thinks to himself, "This is Hanlim Gym. That means Suho must come here too. No, why am I even thinking about him? I can't beat him. He's on a completely different level. Maybe I should just forget about revenge." Determined to let go of his anger, Jeon starts walking out, but the girl calls out to him, "It looks like you enjoy fighting, but you don't have to act like a jerk about it." Jeon, now frustrated, punches the punching bag in anger. The next day, Jeon tries to live a normal life, letting go of his thoughts about revenge. He knows that giving up is easy, but revenge is hard. Deep down, he's angry at himself but feels powerless. Accepting his limitations, he decides to adapt to a normal life, though it leaves him feeling deeply unsatisfied. Suddenly, Charles appears. He smirks and says, "So, you're just sitting here, staring at the open sky while smoking? Losing leaves such a bitter taste, doesn't it? Forget about it. I've arranged a match for you." Jeon looks at him and replies coldly, "Forget about it. I don't care about anything anymore." Charles raises an eyebrow. "I wasn't expecting you to say that. Are you scared? Do you want to spend your entire life fighting weaklings? Do you know why all the strong people participate in PvP? Because they don't settle. Do you want to stay a nobody forever?" He leans closer and whispers, "You were born to fight. You're a tiger. So tell me, how can a tiger like you be happy fighting puppies? If you're a tiger, then behave like one. Don't you want to play in the big leagues? Call me when you change your mind. And this time, don't throw this card away like you did before. I'm leaving now. Oh, by the way, don't you want what Suho has? The title of the strongest person?" Hearing this, Jeon is left surprised. He crushes the card in his hand and mutters, "Now I understand what I want to do." The scene shifts to a PvP match. A host introduces the fighters. saying, standing at 6 feet 7 inches, "This man is a judo specialist. His name is Goliath. Today, he will face a new fighter, someone none of you have ever seen before. His name is Jeon. Tonight, under this moonlit sky, these two will battle it out." The host encourages the audience. "Place your bets now. Look at these two, see the size difference?" Honestly, no one cares. Everyone is betting on Goliath. Was it really necessary to arrange such an unrealistic match? The fight begins. Goliath smirks and says, "I'll end this quickly." But before he can react, Jeon delivers a sharp uppercut. Jeon, determined, thinks to himself, "From today, I'll show everyone that I'm the strongest." Jeon follows up with more punches, but Goliath counters with a powerful blow of his own. Despite this, Jeon starts gaining the upper hand. Seeing Jeon's speed, Goliath thinks, he's incredibly fast. Goliath, smirking, traps Jeon's legs and slams him to the ground. Laughing, he says, "You're caught in my trap." He picks Jeon up and starts slamming him repeatedly. Then, holding Jeon with one hand, he throws him hard onto the ground. The audience is shocked and recalls Goliath's reputation. He's always loved fighting. His physical strength is unmatched. No one can stand against him, especially when he puts his weight on his opponents. They can't survive it. It's good that we all bet on Goliath. I doubt anyone even considered betting on that new guy. Amidst the murmurs, Charles watches from the back, thinking to himself, "I knew there'd be a difference in weight and power. That's unavoidable. But Jeon, I thought you were different." Flashback, 1 hour ago, an hour before the match. Charles welcomes Jeon to the PvP and explains, "Once someone enters this world, it's almost impossible to leave. If you're ready, I'll explain the rules. Our matches are nothing like normal fights. There are no weight classes or penalties. The money earned from matches is what keeps this organization running. You can't tell anyone about this place or the organization. If any trouble arises, it won't just affect one person, it'll be a problem for everyone. Now, here's something important. Your level is measured in BP, battle points. The higher your BP, the higher your level. Fights will be between players with similar BP, like 100 BP versus 100 BP. Your BP can increase or decrease depending on how well you fight. For every BP you earn, you'll get 1,000 rupees. For 100 BP, that's 1 lakh. But there's a catch, these matches are only for students. Once you're an adult, you'll have to retire. That's why many players risk everything to increase their BP before retirement. Some even put their lives on the line. Do you have any questions? Jeon asks, "How strong is he?" Charles replies, "There are 150 students here. Among them, Suho is one. He's at the very top of the pyramid. I know you've realized you're not at Suho's level yet. For now, focus on today's match. This is your first fight, and it will determine if your BP goes up or down. Your opponent is Goliath, and his BP is 100. If you show me an impressive match, you might get closer to Suho," Charles says. The scene shifts to the match, where we see blood dripping from Jeon's head. The announcer declares, Jeon has taken significant damage, while Goliath seems to be in complete control of the match. Suddenly, Jeon gets back on his feet and says with defiance, "Compared to that guy's punch, your punch is nothing." Hearing this, Goliath is enraged and charges toward Jeon to attack, but Jeon intercepts his punch with his own, breaking Goliath's finger. Without stopping, Jeon delivers a powerful punch to Goliath's chest, making him cough up blood. The audience begins to panic, realizing they might lose all the money they had bet on Goliath. Meanwhile, Jeon unleashes a relentless flurry of uppercuts, one after another. Despite Goliath's massive size and weight advantage, he starts to falter. Jeon shouts, "The match isn't over yet," and knees Goliath in the face repeatedly. The assault is so brutal it seems Jeon might kill him. Just then, 2 bodyguards rush in and grab Jeon by both arms to stop him. The audience is left stunned, watching in disbelief. The announcer exclaims, "The winner of tonight's match is someone no one believed in, Jeon. He has taken down Goliath." Charles appears, clapping as he approaches Jeon. "I knew you could perform better than your level. This match was refreshing." Jeon, still angry, snaps, "Enough of this, just tell me how much my match was worth." Charles smirks, "A little while ago, you acted like none of this mattered. But look at you now." "Fine, I'll tell you. The panel has decided your BP is 100. Why the long face? Do you think it's too low? This is your worth. Here's your advance payment. If you had lost, you'd have earned nothing. The bets were massive today, so you're getting a good payout. Use it wisely." The The scene shifts to the next day, where Kim and his friend are talking. Lately, Jeon's been in a terrible mood, Kim says. Ever since that match, he's been acting this way. Oh, look, there he is. When Jeon approaches, Kim asks, "What happened to your face? You need a drink, don't you?" "Don't worry, I've got everything ready. Look at this." Kim blushes as he shows Jeon pictures of some girls. "I met them a few days ago. Aren't they cute? Why drink alone when we could go out with them?" His chubby friend quickly chimes in. "The one in the middle is mine." Fine, Kim replies. "But first, we need to find a bar where we won't run into them by accident." Hearing this, Jeon interrupts. "You too, follow me." The scene shifts to the girl Jeon had helped earlier. A boy is following her, pestering her despite her objections. She turns and firmly tells him to stop. The boy, named Lee, pleads with her. "I want to learn how to fight. Everyone at school bullies me." She replies, "I don't teach kids how to fight, and as for the gym, it's for exercise. Go work out and learn how to fight on your own." Frustrated, Lee yells, "I don't want to work out. I want to learn how to fight. Do you even know what it feels like to be bullied?" The girl responds coldly, "No, I don't. Now leave." Just then, her gaze falls on Jeon and his friends approaching. We now see Jeon and his friends sitting in a bar with a group of girls. One of the girls hesitantly asks, "Can we really order so much food?" Jeon responds with a smile, "That day, I couldn't give you all a proper treat. So today, order whatever you want, no limits." Hearing this, everyone starts eating and drinking happily. Kim's gaze shifts to one of the girls sitting across from him. He leans in slightly and asks with curiosity, "What's your name?" The girl replies with a soft smile, "Suwon." Kim, without missing a beat, asks, "Are you single?" Before Suwon can respond, the girl sitting beside her laughs and says, "She's had a ton of boyfriends already." Kim smirks and replies, "Well, that's fine. Why not add me to the list?" Suddenly, Suwon's phone rings. It's Chan. Her cheerful expression fades, and she looks worried as she excuses herself to take the call. Before she can get up, Kim grabs her hand and asks, "Why are you in such a hurry to answer this call? Can't it wait a little longer?" Suwon's friend quickly explains, "Chan is this guy who's obsessed with her. He follows her everywhere. We hung out with him for a few days because he promised to buy us new bags, but all he ever wanted was to act like Suwon's boyfriend. We've tried to avoid him, but he keeps calling and even shows up outside our school." Hearing this, Kim clenches his fists in anger and says, "What's this guy's problem? Don't worry, we'll deal with him." Meanwhile, Chan is repeatedly calling Suwon, growing more and more frustrated as she doesn't pick up. Furious, he storms into the bar, dramatically breaking the gate and making an intimidating entrance. Seeing him, Suwon looks terrified. Chan, glaring at her, shouts, "Do you even realize how worried I was? Why didn't you pick up my calls? And here you are laughing and enjoying yourself?" Suwon stammers nervously, "It's not like that, Chan. You're misunderstanding everything." Before she can explain further, Kim steps forward, his voice filled with anger. "What's your problem, man? Leave her alone and stop following her around." In response, Chan smirks coldly and lands a punch straight at Kim, knocking him out instantly. The sudden act leaves everyone, including Jeon, shocked. Chan then turns towards Suwon, stepping closer menacingly. "You think you can ignore me?" he growls, raising his hand as if to strike her. Before he can get any closer, Jeon intercepts, grabbing Chan's arm with an unyielding grip. Chan pulls back and sneers, "Oh, I almost forgot about you. Guess it's your turn now." Just then, both their phones buzz at the same time. A message from Charles at PvP flashes on their screens, announcing their next opponents, with each other's pictures attached. John's eyes narrow as he sees Chan's face on his screen. Without hesitation, Jeon smirks and says coldly, "Why wait a week for the match? Let's settle this right here, right now." Chan grins, cracking his knuckles. "Fine by me. Let's see who's left standing." Both of them prepare to fight, their tension electrifying the air. Meanwhile, Hanlim, the girl who had once saved Jeon, is practicing in a park nearby. She notices the commotion and sees Jeon and Chan squaring off. Her thoughts are filled with disapproval. This guy is nothing but trouble. He's always fighting everywhere he goes. Back at the bar, Chan smirks and taunts Jeon. "I didn't know a guy like you could be in PvP. You might actually be a decent challenge for me." Jeon glares at him and growls, "Enough with the trash talk. Let's fight already." Chan grins wickedly and declares, "This will be easy. I'll finish you off today." With that, Chan lunges forward, delivering a barrage of punches. Jeon tries to dodge but is caught off guard by Chan's speed. With a swift uppercut, Chan sends Jeon staggering back. Laughing, Chan mocks, "What's the matter? Can't even touch me?" Jeon, gritting his teeth, charges forward and shouts, "For someone like you, one punch from me is enough." Nearby, Hanlim watches with disdain. What a pointless fight, she thinks. The scene cuts to Jeon lying on the ground, battered and bruised. Chan, still staring at Jeon, smirked and said, "I can't believe you're my next match. Has PvP's standard fallen so low?" Jeon remains silent, replaying Chan's earlier punches in his head. His speed, it's unreal. I couldn't dodge even one punch. How can someone be this fast? Chan, now serious, began to explain, "I'm a boxing prodigy. You're nowhere near my level. Back in high school, I once knocked out a classmate with just one punch. He collapsed immediately, and there was blood everywhere. You know what happened after that? He ended up in the hospital, in a coma." His father was furious. He and his two sons lived alone after their divorce. "The man got me jailed in Javelin for a few months, had me expelled from school, and even got me banned from boxing. But tell me, don't you think that was unfair? Was it my fault that he was so weak? Honestly, he got exactly what he deserved. Maybe it's time I do something like that again." As Chan said this, he raised his leg, aiming to stomp down on Jeon's arms. But before he could strike, a strong kick stopped him midair. It was Lim. She had arrived just in time. Chan looked at her, startled, and asked, "Who the hell are you?" Ignoring his question, Lim turned to Jeon and said sharply, "I told you before, didn't I? You're nothing but a third-rate thug." Annoyed by her silence, Chan reached out, tapping her on the head mockingly. "Hey, are you even listening to me? Or are you ignoring me? Judging by your tracksuit, you look like some Power Rangers reject." Lim's expression hardened as she retorted, "You're nothing but a thug yourself, so shut up and get lost. I'll give you one chance to leave." Chan laughed dismissively, "You've got a sharp tongue. Ha, let's see if you can back it up. Think you can stand against me?" With that, Chan swung a punch at her. Lim easily dodged it, leaving Jeon wide-eyed in disbelief. How is she dodging so easily? I couldn't dodge even one of his punches. Lim, now angry, warned, "Don't make me repeat myself." Chan, laughing mockingly, said, "And what if I make you repeat yourself?" Before he could react, Lim delivered a powerful kick, staggering Chan. Jeon watched, stunned, as Chan recovered and launched a flurry of punches at Lim, but she dodged them all with ease, her movements precise and fluid. Jeon, observing closely, realized something astonishing. She's not just dodging, she's predicting his every move. Lim, now fed up, landed a solid punch on Chan's nose, drawing blood. She followed it up with a final, devastating kick that knocked him to the ground. Turning to Jeon, she said coldly, "I told you, didn't I? You're nothing but a third-class thug, a fool." With that, she walked away. Jeon tried to get up to stop her, but his body wouldn't cooperate. Watching her leave, he thought to himself, "Lim and Suho, they're on a completely different level, and the one thing they both have in common? Hanlim Gym." Jeon found himself standing outside Hanlim Gym. He spotted Lim nearby and approached her. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her tone impatient. Without hesitation, Jeon dropped to his knees and pleaded, "Please teach me how to fight." Lim crossed her arms and scoffed, "You've come to the wrong place. We don't teach fighting here. Now, leave." When Jeon didn't budge, she sighed and walked up to him. "Are you deaf? Or just stupid?" Just then, an older man stepped out of the gym. He appeared disheveled but observant as he glanced at Jeon. "We do teach fighting here," the old man said, ignoring Lim's glare. "Let me see your face, boy. Your eyes, they have a sharpness to them." Meanwhile, Chan was elsewhere, seething with rage as he confronted a group of girls. "Who the hell was that girl? The one who did this to me? I'll kill her." Back at the gym, Lim turned to the old man and protested, "No, we don't teach fighting here. Kick him out." The old man smirked and replied, "I'm the director of this gym, so, what's it to you?" The director walked up to Jeon and said, "Your eyes are sharp. It'll cost you $800. Pay it all at once, and there won't be any interest." Lim, visibly annoyed, started massaging the director's shoulder and asked, "We don't teach fighting here, so what exactly are you trying to do? Are you planning to turn him into a gangster?" The director shook her off, yelling, "You heard me. We don't teach fighting here. But as soon as Lim let him go, he leaned in and whispered to Jeon, you remember our deal, don't you? Let me make something clear. I might be the director, but the real boss here is her. I don't care as long as you're paying the fee. But it seems like she doesn't like you. Without her permission, you can't do anything here. Walking away, he added, you two figure it out yourselves. I'm off. Lim, frustrated, called after him. Where are you going? He waved her off, pointing vaguely toward a bar. The only place I ever go. As the director left, Lim muttered, since when did this place become so messed up? Jeon, determined, turned to Lim, please, teach me how to fight. Lim ignored him and walked inside, saying coldly, stop bothering me and just leave. Jeon realized he had to win her over first if he wanted to learn anything. Thinking quickly, he said, how about we grab a drink? Lim's response was swift, a slap that left Jeon's face swollen. Embarrassed but undeterred, he showed up in front of his friends. Kim burst out laughing. What happened to you? Did a girl do this? Are you sure this isn't love? Want me to go talk to her for you? No, Jeon protested. I'll handle this myself. Kim grinned. I'm a specialist at this. First, ask her out for a drink. Another friend interrupted. Don't listen to him. That's how you win a girl's heart. Shut up, old man, Kim snapped. Listen to me. As they argued, Jeon quietly left, mumbling, I've got somewhere else to be. At Hanlim Gym, determined to make an impression, Jeon began sweeping the entrance of the gym. When Lim arrived, she asked, what are you doing here? This place looked dirty. Jeon replied, so, I'm cleaning it. Lim scoffed and walked past him, slamming the door shut. Jeon thought to himself, I've done everything I could. I even painted the place, but she still didn't care. When I watered the flowers, she yelled at me, saying, is your dad going to pay the water bill? And when I brought her sweets, she threw me out. Frustrated, he muttered, what more can I do? Still unwilling to give up, Jeon decided to follow Lim. When she finally noticed, she turned and snapped, are you a stalker? Are you planning to follow me home now? Please, Jeon pleaded, teach me how to fight. Lim stared at him for a moment before asking, why do you want to learn? Is it so you can beat people up and become a gangster? Jeon shook his head. I don't care about that. I just want to be strong enough to take down that guy, the one you beat earlier. Lim crossed her arms. That guy may look like a thug, but he's had proper boxing training. He's so good, he could win a gold medal at the national level. How do you plan to take on someone like that? I know I'm weaker than him, Jeon admitted. That's why I need you to teach me. I can't lose to someone like him. Lim, skeptical, asked, so, you enjoy fighting gangs, huh? What are you trying to achieve with this? Before Jeon could answer, a loud roar of a motorcycle interrupted them. Chan appeared, flanked by his gang. Riding up to them, Chan swung a steel rod at Lim, but she dodged it effortlessly. Two of Chan's gang members rushed forward with rods of their own, aiming for Lim. But before they could reach her, Jeon instinctively stepped in, and the rod struck him directly on the head. Furious, Jeon grabbed the thugs off their bikes and began fighting back with all his might, landing blows in a fit of rage. This is exactly why I want to get stronger, Jeon shouted amidst the chaos. This world, where people like you rule with power and tyranny, it's disgusting. People with power are always trash, using it to push others down. That's why I decided to fight back, to climb to the top of this garbage pyramid so that no one like you can control the world anymore. Chan, glaring at Jeon, growled, why did you even get in my way? But before he could retaliate, he noticed someone calling the police. Realizing the situation, Chan and his group quickly fled on their bikes. Lim, watching them leave, shouted after them, running away already? Jeon, unable to stay conscious any longer, collapsed to the ground. Alarmed, Lim rushed to his side, trying to wake him up. Hey, wake up, you idiot, she yelled, shaking him. When Jeon opened his eyes, he found himself in a hospital bed, with Lim sitting nearby. Hey, monkey, you finally woke up, she said, her tone both mocking and concerned. Why are you calling me a monkey? Jeon asked, frowning. Why did you even interfere? Lim scolded. Did you think I couldn't dodge that attack on my own? You're lucky you didn't end up with a serious injury. You'll be discharged tomorrow, so don't do anything stupid. Jeon nodded, feeling a twinge of sadness as Lim turned to leave, but then she paused at the door and said, I swear, you're going to pay that thug back for what he did to you. Let's start your training tomorrow. The next day, Lim brought Jeon to a park. "This is where we'll train," she announced. "If you want to fight that thug, you need to master footwork first." Jeon began practicing, but he quickly realized how challenging it was. "I thought footwork would be easy," he muttered, stumbling over his steps. Lim, noticing his mistakes, struck him lightly with a stick. "Focus," she snapped. "Your back foot is still dragging on the ground. Do you even understand who you're up against? That guy has boxing experience and has already mastered footwork. If you can't fix this, you might as well quit now." She ordered him to complete 12 rounds of practice. Jeon gritted his teeth and kept going. Watching him, Lim thought, "What's with this guy? Most people faint or give up after a few rounds, but he's already on his fourth without stopping. He's definitely different from the others." 3 days passed, and Jeon continued training diligently, pushing through the pain. One evening, after a long session, he collapsed on the ground, exhausted. "Get up," Lim said, standing over him. "You said this was enough for today," Jeon replied, blushing as he lay sprawled on the grass. "I was talking about your shoes, you idiot," Lim snapped. "Take them off." Jeon quickly removed his shoes, revealing feet covered in blisters and bruises. Seeing the wounds, Lim knelt down and began applying medicine. "Wait," Jeon protested. "My feet are dirty." Lim calmly wrapped his feet in bandages. "An athlete's feet are never dirty," she said firmly. "And you asked why we focus on footwork first, right? It's because every martial artist begins with footwork. Do you know who said that? The world's strongest fighters." The martial artist's words make Jeon picture Bruce Lee in his mind. Then, Lim says, "Just keep practicing this for 2 weeks, and you'll be able to defeat that thug." Jeon hesitates and informs her, "But my match is tomorrow." Hearing this, Lim hits him on the head and asks angrily, "Why are you telling me such an important thing now? And why do you have to fight him tomorrow?" Jeon replies earnestly, "It's more like a promise, that's why I have to fight him tomorrow. Plus, I've already learned a bit of footwork, so I think I'll manage." Lim looks at him skeptically and says, "Do you really think the little you've learned in a few days will be enough to win this fight?" Confused, Jeon asks, "What do you mean by that?" Lim explains bluntly, "It means you can't win this fight." Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to the end, you know just how exciting and thrilling this manhwa truly is. We're so glad to have shared this journey with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you'll never miss out on more amazing manhwa content. Don't forget to explore our other videos, they're packed with even more epic stories and jaw-dropping moments. Your support means the world to us. See you next time.